We did it. We've teamed up, and together we've created something special. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, and we're changing the game. We're covering Idaho high school sports in a way that you haven't seen before. Together, we'll be providing weekly breakdowns and recaps while helping uncover Idaho's top talents at a deeper level. Trust us, you want to be part of this. Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, and the Game Time Guru bring you Gem Session. Let's get to work. What's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of Gem Session, brought to you by the Idaho Underground Sports Network. I'm Shane Larson, the Game Time Guru, alongside Ty Spangenberg from Boise Sports Talk. We're going to be talking some baseball with you guys today. Super excited about today's episode. You'll notice, again, AJ is not with us. He is still, I say this, in Coeur d'Alene. I mean, the guy just never stops living in Coeur d'Alene. He should be back with us next week, though. It's been a little bit lonely not having him for the baseball season, but we're looking forward to him joining us. We don't have Cherry with us today either, but guess what? We've got an amazing guest coming on here in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for what we've got coming up. We'll be talking a little bit about the club baseball scene. We'll be talking about some of the spring tournaments, the spring break tournaments that just ended this last weekend. We had some coverage over there, and we'll get Ty's thoughts and opinions on what happened, break down a couple of things there. And we're going to have a good conversation today. I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, maybe this is your first time watching, hit the subscribe button and share this with any friends and family. Help us get the word out there. That's what happens. Just one simple share can do a lot of things for us. So help us out there. Our bread and butter is on Instagram. Follow us at Idaho Underground Sports. That is our channel on Instagram. That's where we're going to be giving you guys all the highlights, the updates, and so forth. We're on Twitter as well, growing that platform. Thank you for helping us hit 1,500 followers. We're continuing to grow that. It's at ID Underground SN. So go follow us on our social media platforms. Don't forget, we are also on Facebook, and that continues to grow slowly as well. One last piece of information. If you want to show some support for us, iusnflames.com. Copy some merch. See that hoodie that BST's got right there? Go get yourself one of those. I've got my GTG one that I'm repping right here too. So go cop some merch. And every little bit helps. We appreciate all the support. Super excited for today, though. Ty, first and foremost, before we bring on our guest, I want to know, how are you doing and how was your weekend? Like, how was the weekend of sports and everything?
Thanks for checking in on me. Everyone needs that. Great weekend, super busy. Was able to hit a few different baseball games. Met up with Cherry for a few different games. Meyer Media made a guest appearance as well. So we were out on the scene. It was a crazy busy weekend with, baseball, as well as, you and I covered the Idaho Horsemen game Friday night. That's a good time for anyone who hasn't been out to a game. Make sure you pop out to the Idaho Center for their next home game, April 30th, I believe. Come out, show some support. Idaho's only indoor football team. It's a good time out there. And, you got Shane and I there. So, got to come say what's up. Excited for this week, though. We're kind of getting back into normal schedule. Everyone's back to school, kind of getting into a more set schedule. And I'm a big schedule guy, so that's nice for me.
Yeah, Ty likes his schedule. I'm actually very similar in that regard. I just like to have things broken down if I can. So you'll notice Ty didn't mention my name there. I didn't get out to any games. I was actually playing in a basketball tournament myself. Shout out to Bam Jam, another local company here that put on a nice tournament, local basketball tournament. Saw a lot of local hoopers, as well as some people that came out from out of town. I will say this: my team surprisingly made the championship. We made the upset of the entire tournament for our bracket.
Let's go.
By beating the number one team, but we lost in the championship to another team. We were worn out. My back hurts. My knees hurt. It's all about the icy hot and the Epsom salt baths for now, man.
Cinderella story of St. Peter's, as well as the Guru's Bam Jam team.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say we're on that same level. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but
I think I'm going to tie them in together, man.
I appreciate that. They'll call me Doug. I'm the guy Doug from St. Peter's.
Go Peacocks.
Shout out to Bam Jam. Thank you guys for putting on that tournament as well, and thank you for Owyhee High School for hosting. Now, as we get into our guests, we're going to bring in the man himself. He's helping run Idaho Prospect Baseball. His name is Izaac Garsez, and he's going to join us today and share some insight as we got some questions for him. So I'm going to bring on Izaac right now. Izaac, thanks so much for joining us, brother.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you guys having me. Looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I'm going to start off, Isaac, and we want to get to know you. We want to let the listeners and those around the entire state of Idaho get to know you a little bit more and your background in baseball. So talk to us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your background in the sport.
Yeah, guys, I'm a local guy. I graduated from Caldwell High way back in 2008. Went to College of Idaho out of high school. Played 4 years there. Had a good career. Ended up, I think, my senior year, 2012, was the last time C of I went to the World Series, and we had a good experience that year. And the Chicago Cubs drafted me in 2012 and made a little run in their minor league system. And after my playing career ended, I started working with Baseball Northwest, and kind of started my coaching career there a little bit, and moved back over and helped at C of I for a couple of years, and then I started giving private lessons here in the Valley. Ended up creating a good group of players that I enjoyed helping regularly, and I had a lot of relationships with college coaches here in the Northwest, and club ball was taking off, obviously, in places like Seattle and Portland and Utah, and obviously the bigger states around us. And it wasn't something that was obviously a big thing here. Didn't have a lot of traction, and the whole idea behind club ball is to just, help facilitate high school programs' ability and players in high school, their ability to train consistently throughout the year, and also play the necessary amount of games, get the right type of exposure, play against the right type of competition, all those things. And Idaho players were lacking that, in short description, that's kind of how we got started. I started back in 2017. We had our first team. It was an 11U team. That branched out into having 5 teams from 11U all the way up to 18U. And we've kind of been rolling with something like that ever since. And, we've had a lot of fun with it. And, the best thing is seeing the guys get opportunities to go play at the next level. I think we've now had 34 guys and counting from our program since 2018 commit to go play college baseball. So that's been awesome to see, and the development of guys through 4 or 5 years of doing the right things. It's cool. It's definitely something that I was hoping to be able to help the Valley with. And there's it's not just me. There's a group of us, and club ball in general is obviously growing, and for good reason. And hopefully it continues to show with the number of players in our area getting opportunities to play college baseball.
For sure, man. I love that. I love the background too. The fact that you have the professional experience being with the Cubs organization as well. You can really relate to a lot of these guys. You know what it takes to get to that next level. That would be my next question for you, Isaac. What would you say is the biggest missing piece for high school athletes, baseball players specifically right now, that they need to learn? And if there was just one thing that you could choose, I'm sure there's tons of things, but what it takes to get to the next level. So what advice would you give those young athletes that they need to be doing that you're not seeing them doing consistently to get to that next level?
If there's one thing to pinpoint, it's obviously being consistent in what you're doing. But big thing there is strength. Strength is a huge key, and a lot of players that dream of playing college baseball, they just don't understand how physical that game is compared to the high school game. And that's the biggest issue that I see, is guys just not committing to a process that's going to help them develop their strength, at the same time as developing their skill set. And then you get to their senior year, and they really want to make things happen. And for an Idaho guy, that's any guy, that's too late. But over here, it makes it really challenging. So they're very limited on the type of opportunities they can create for themselves.
Totally. Ty, you got any questions for him as well?
Yeah, definitely. I love that you mentioned the strength part of it. We're coaching at the club basketball level right now, and I've got a younger group of guys, and for them at this age, you can put as many hours into the gym or on the field as it takes, but whatever you're doing outside of it, the weight training, just the extra stuff that isn't the actual game itself, that's what is going to help get you to that next level. And I think a lot of these younger guys don't quite understand that quite yet. I think they're used to their talent carrying them over, and out here in Idaho, the talent pool just isn't quite there. So, that talent can bring you to the top, but yeah, once you get to that next level, it's, that extra work is what really matters. But as far as question for you, you said you're a local guy, went to Caldwell High School. You've been out here, for all of the growth. We've kind of seen it from football this year, or the last couple years, basketball a little bit this year. Some of these guys are getting better opportunities. Bigger colleges are coming knocking. Do you see that kind of same progression at the baseball level as well?
It's a good question. And I hope that's kind of my answer there. I hope it's going to get there. Right now, it really hasn't shown as far as the higher level opportunities. I would say the amount of players in Idaho that are going and getting a Division I opportunity out of high school, I don't think that number's probably increased in the last 15 years.
Okay.
It's generally about four to five guys per year. And that's been pretty consistent. So I'd love to see that number increase. Now, the amount of players in general that are getting opportunities to play college baseball, that number's increased. And again, hopefully guys getting in the right process, when they're 13, 14 years old, from a strength gaining and a skill development process, that can help that number increase. But the big issue there is, from a Division I standpoint, is Division I coaches, they want to recruit guys that are physically ready to compete at that level. And, the competition gap in Idaho is one of the things that holds us back. Is, we don't have a top tier, level of competition that's consistent. We have some talent, there's no doubt about that. We have some Division I talent, there's no doubt about that. But the consistency across the board, the depth across the board isn't quite there. So them having to go and play against that type of competition is something that's very necessary. So getting outside of Idaho, obviously, in the fall and the summertime, making sure that you're playing against the right type of competition, and then hopefully in front of college scouts at the same time, then it becomes a matter of performing, and they have to perform in those situations. And it's challenging. I mean, it's not like, you just go up to Seattle and guys are getting recruited on a Division I level, on a Tuesday night in high school, and that just doesn't happen here. Or if it's very rare. Got to be a really good talent for them to come over like that. So then it becomes these events that they go to that really make those doors open, and you have to perform because then again, it just is like, hey, this kid's a talented player. I like what he does, but he plays in Idaho, and I just watched him face upper 80s for a weekend, and he didn't hit real well. So it looks like he might just be a junior college type of guy, and for better for worse, that's where we're at. So that's why that number hasn't increased. But hopefully the growth in the valley can help facilitate us playing events in front of coaches, make that process easier, and be able to have more things that are in the Northwest, and hopefully, coming local. I know PBR is doing a Idaho State event at CSI in June, and Baseball Northwest does their event as well. And so hopefully, we can continue to bring things more local and make that process easier to get groups of college coaches here and get our guys in front of them, and maybe that number.
So kind of tying in with that, we've seen a lot of the recruitment, I think, locally from not necessarily the high school seasons, but more so, a club basketball season, or for football, you might see more recruitment at the sevens level just because of how much media attention's brought to it. Do you think that that's kind of a similar pattern with the club baseball scene as well?
It is. And, there's a few things that go into that. But, first thing is, in the spring, colleges are playing as well. So it does make recruiting a little bit tougher, especially for smaller colleges. And, in the summertime, traditionally their coaching staff isn't coaching. Maybe a couple of assistants are, but that's their big recruiting time. And then in the fall is where a lot of big events are, when a lot of big recruiting events are hosted. So the summer and the fall is really kind of solidifies itself as the main recruiting period. Now, not to say that the spring, there's not any recruiting happening. There certainly is, but there's also a progression throughout the year that a kid hops into the spring and, usually he's not obviously in midseason form. We're over here in Idaho playing in early March in 40, 50-degree weather. Probably not going to be, from a velocity standpoint, showing their best velo early in the spring. So, you kind of tailor it to where you see hopefully that they're kind of hitting midseason form come start of summertime, right? And if a kid, he's a pitcher, they're throwing a lot nowadays, and that can be fine as long as there's some structure involved. And making sure that you ramp yourself up to be able to still be throwing competitively in October when you started in February, that's huge. So that all plays into it. But we also, for me, with our, for our upper division teams, we have a 17U and an 18U, and those guys, their summer schedule is pretty strenuous. I mean, we travel a decent amount. We go to events that I know competition is what we want it to be, and I know there's going to be active recruiting involved, and that's something that we obviously it takes a lot of planning and then obviously commitment from players and families. So really challenging. Obviously, not something that a high school team can really create in the springtime for their guys.
That's actually a very interesting question and insight there too, because I never really put those things together, even though spring it makes it very difficult for the recruiting. That makes total sense, but I just never really thought of it that way. Isaac, I got a question for you. So at the club basketball scene, I wanted to ask this question for baseball too, because in club basketball, one of the benefits for players that want to come out and play club basketball and they make a team is the fact that, one, you're playing with players that you're not used to playing with all the time, and two, you sometimes have to be put in a different role. It's different offensive strategies. It's different types of things. So where you might be playing a point guard in high school, you might be playing the 2 guard or something on the club level, because it depends on the personnel that you have. So everyone's put in different roles and responsibilities. But with baseball, with it being so position specific, I am curious, like, is there a difference between like the high school level of baseball and maybe the club level of baseball in regards to like any of the responsibilities, the roles and responsibilities and strategies of the players themselves?
Yeah, there is. And that's another good question. And I don't like to make guys be a completely different player, obviously, in club ball scene than what they were in high school, but depth is definitely different. I mean, for a squad, for our guys, we have a lot of depth, and on our 18U team, we have 11 guys committed to go play college baseball on that one roster, and another handful of 2023s that are really impressive players for their age and point in their career. So, if a guy is, for example, there's certainly situations where you got a guy who's a starting third baseman for their high school team. But, for us, it's a situation where at the time, it could be I could fit you in a corner outfield as a primary, and then obviously work you into corner infield when we can, to be able to fit you on the roster and still help you develop. And, another thing for me is it's the same thing when they get to college. Is, a lot of guys who are a third baseman in high school go into college, and there's an upperclassman sitting there that's doing a good job. And if you can play corner outfield and have that versatility, and you can swing the bat, and you prove yourself that way, then you might play your freshman year in college as a corner outfielder and work your way back into third base as your career goes. And I kind of run my program pretty similarly to that. There'll be guys as a junior that kind of fit that role where they're a corner infielder, middle infielder, and they get some outfield experience, and as they work through the ranks and become a senior on our roster, they're obviously primary where they fit at the next level. And that's another thing that's really important for me is, I put guys in positions to where I see them fitting at the next level. And, can't say all high schools do that. Obviously, you're playing to win, and that's a big part of it too. How you make those decisions can weigh on just the type of athletes that you have. So I like the versatility. Same thing from a pitching standpoint. Guys might assume a different type of pitching role, whether it be a bullpen role or, from a bullpen to a starter or vice versa. It's different, and it's good for guys because, when I was in high school, there was a little bit of club ball going on, and a lot of times guys didn't understand that just because they weren't the best at their position that they couldn't be a big impact player on the team. And in college, that's huge. You go into college and you want to be a big impact player on the team. And I mean, there's a good percentage of guys that are those type of guys in college that are playing a different position than they did in high school. And so they experience that a little bit with us. They understand, we have between our 18U team, I think we have 9 different high schools represented. So you got all you guys coming from different high schools, coming together. They're all good high school players coming into a roster that's better than their high school roster. With depth around their position, having to learn new things, and it's very college-esque, and it helps the preparation process for sure.
I dig that. Ty, what else you got for him, man?
Yeah, as we kind of wrap up here, we're kind of creating the baseball landscape as far as media coverage goes. We're new to the scene, but it's been fun kind of, getting a feel for how these teams are, how they've done in the past, what they're doing now. Cherry Films has been great. Lane McPherson at kind of helping with, being able to identify some of these players now. With that being said, who are a few guys, maybe 3 to 5 guys that we should keep our eye on over the next year or two? Could be, class of 22, class of 2023, just a handful of guys that, stand out.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll start with the 2022 class. You look at Timberline, returning state champs. You got Junior Garcia, Logan Miller, Kai Saunders, Garrett Miller. That core guys right there is 2022 guys for them. They're all good players that hopefully will have good, successful careers at the next level.
Are those all guys that are they all committed already?
Yeah, okay. They are. Yeah, Logan Miller's Oregon State commit, Junior Garcia, College of Southern Idaho, Garrett Miller, College of Southern Idaho, Kai Saunders, NNU.
Okay.
Another couple others, in the Valley. Connor Christensen over at Rocky Mountain. He's committed to the Masters University down there in Southern California. Caden Casagrande over at Bishop Kelly. He's currently uncommitted. Was previously committed to Washington State. He's a returning 4A Player of the Year, and he's a stud. Another one to keep an eye on. And there's some good players in the Valley, and I'm probably missing some key ones that a couple guys over at 2A Nampa Christian, Dane Bradshaw, Landon Cheney. They went undefeated last year, committed to go play at Oregon Tech, and they're studs over there as well. A lot of good talent there. Eagles got some guys for sure as well. 2023 class, Timberline, you got Carter Walsh. He's a stud. Probably the fastest player in the Valley. Over at Eagle, you got Hayden Chambers. He's off to a really good start. I think he's leading the Valley in doubles right now. And he's another. And those guys are both uncommitted juniors that are in the recruiting process and doing a good job. And we'll be finding good homes soon. You got over in Mountain View, obviously they have a bunch of studs over there. 2023 class, Jack Barker, uncommitted left-handed bat that has a bright future. Will Grizzle on the mound, he's a 2024. Probably, arguably one of the top 3 arms already in the Valley. and does a great job, has a frame and command of 3 quality pitches. He keeps improving his velocity. He'll probably be one of those handful of Division I guys coming out of this valley. Ryder Cutlip over at Oahe. He's an uncommitted 2024, has a bright future as well. And let's see, Boomer Collins is a freshman on varsity at Capitol High School. He's a player to keep your eye on as he goes through his 4 years. He's a talented middle infielder, left-handed bat. Over at Capitol as well, there's a junior there, their catcher, Charlie Vega. He's a stud. Got a bright future. There's a lot of good players in the valley, and so we keep naming guys. That's for sure.
No, that's incredibly helpful. I mean, as we continue to grow this, just knowing all those guys, we're going to take note of all of them, be adding them on Instagram.
And feel free to reach out.
Exactly.
If you're kind of circling certain games. Feel free to reach out on players to watch. I'm pretty familiar. I also work for Baseball Northwest still. I've worked for them for years, and they're a really great scouting and exposure company for high school players that work out of Portland, Oregon area. But they work entire Northwest, and Idaho is one of their states, and I really help evaluate players for them and make sure that we're seeing all the guys that we can. So I got a good idea of what our valley's bringing to the table and how we do match up from states around us, and so that's another thing that I do and help coach some big events for Baseball Northwest on the national level. Where there's a bunch of Division I recruits, and being able to get in on those events has really helped over the years me understand what it takes. What a Power 5 Division I player looks like, so that's been good too, just to really help our guys understand how to be realistic from the recruiting process. I mean, if you ask any kid when they're 14 where they want to go to college, I guarantee you they're going to mention Vanderbilt within 3 schools, and Oregon State and all these big time Power 5 programs, which is great, and all kids should dream like that. But, at a certain point, if the recruiting process gets serious, they need to get realistic and understand where they are. And, again, the experience that I've had there has really helped me be able to really understand where our guys sit in that process.
That's awesome. We'll definitely be leaning on you, Izaac, for some additional insight then, and shout out to Baseball Northwest as well that you just shouted out there too. So we just want to say thanks, Izaac, for joining us. Again, everyone, go follow Idaho Prospect Baseball. We've got them on Instagram. So we'll tag them here as well in the description, but go follow them and make sure you're following Izaac because he's going to be giving us the insight. He's our expert analyst here that we'll be bringing on for some of his insight moving forward. So just once again, man, just want to say thank you for joining us today and being willing to share some knowledge with us.
Absolutely, guys. Again, thanks for having me, and I appreciate what you guys are doing here in the Valley as well. Things are definitely heading in the right direction, so let's keep it rolling.
Yes,
awesome,
sir. Thanks, Izaac.
Thank you. Take care now. What an awesome conversation with Izaac. Great questions too, Ty. I mean, Ty's turning into the podcast expert here.
Hey, like I said, I've learned from the best over here.
Dude, I'm loving it. I'm like taking notes on how Ty framed his questions. It's fantastic. I'm like, this is good. He's got some great ways of pre-framing those questions. Now, Ty, that was awesome. It was awesome talking with Izaac. But now I want to chat with you because you did mention in the intro there that over the weekend you were hanging out with, Cherry. You caught up with him a few times or whatever, and then Meyer came over there with you guys. But you were at some of these games, catching some of these tournaments. So I want to just get the rundown from you. I mean, we had Bucks Bags. We also had some other tournaments going on, different schools from all across the state. We're traveling around. So shout out some of the stuff that you saw, and let's get some insight on those tourneys.
Yeah, definitely. We had the Bucks Bags tournament, which was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Over 60 games over 3 days. Really kind of a tough one to cover from a media standpoint, but we made it out to a few games. Capitol High School, actually really, really fun venue out there. They had a nice grill going on, good atmosphere, good crowd. Whoever was playing music was doing a good job. So they set the vibe over there at Capitol. It was a good time. Nice sunny weekend for everybody. I think this was kind of a perfect spring break, get baseball really kicked off. It's third week of the season, but those first couple of weeks, teams are kind of getting into their rhythm. The weather, hit or miss, rainy, windy. People aren't trying to be out there for that. So I think as the season goes on, we'll see even bigger crowds and a little bit more buzz around the baseball scene. But the quality tournament this weekend was the Spring Invitational over at Eagle and Rocky Mountain High School. We had a couple teams from up north, Coeur d'Alene and Lewiston, come down, as well as Idaho Falls and Madison from the east. And then we had Eagle, Centennial, and Rocky from the SIC representing. So a good assortment of 5A teams. Coeur d'Alene, kind of a team to maybe watch out for up north, as well as Lewiston. Coeur d'Alene came down and beat Eagle and handed Rocky Mountain their first loss of the season, both in the same day. So they had a quality Friday afternoon. They slept good Friday night for sure. But ultimately, Rocky did prove who they were. They picked up a quality win against Lewiston Saturday. They won 9-8. That one got off to a late start. I had to leave before it really got going. But Cherry was there providing his quality video updates, which I think is quickly proving to be a game changer here in the Valley, just because we haven't seen really any video coverage like this from the baseball scene. So glad to have him out there. The SIC, for the most part, represented really well this weekend. Bora picked up their first win of the season. Boise stacked up a couple more wins. Meridian got their first win as well, playing Mountain Home earlier in the week. And Centennial got a couple wins. They went on a little bit of a losing skid there. They started off 4-0, and now they're up to 5-3 or 4-3 now. So kind of a rough week for them. But for the most part, all the other teams showed out well. Mountain View was in a out-of-state tournament this week, and they went 3-1 on the week. So good week for them. Timberline still is undefeated. Right now, CUNA is 6-0-1. They picked up the first tie we've seen of the season. But really solid starts for, CUNA, Timberline, Skyview, Rocky, even Owyhee is up to, I think, 4 or 5-3 on the season now as well. So seeing some teams, stack up some wins, probably starting to gain some confidence. One thing that really stood out to me, and I know it's a given in high school baseball, but just an elite pitcher is really going to make or break a team. You get into a rough go and you can't get out of an inning, your pitcher's struggling, and you give up, 10 runs in the inning, and that's pretty much the ball game. So, having those reliable, controlled pitchers that just, have a good body of work and just are consistent, like Izaac was saying, just consistency in your game and strength in your game. So really is that stood out to me the most this weekend. I mean, you could have great infielding, great outfielding. It doesn't matter if, the other team's just ripping it on your pitcher. So fun weekend all around. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm excited to get back to a little bit more structured of a landscape. We have got 3 days of just purely SIC matchups this week. So a little bit easier for us to cover, especially as we, continue to, gain knowledge and, get our resources and our insiders from each team kind of established.
Totally. To that point, so first and foremost, shout out Ty for your coverage that you had all weekend long. Shout out Cherry. Shout out Meyer for showing up too and doing his thing. Like, it's busy. It's busy for all of us. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, I was at a basketball tournament. AJ's out of town. So those guys were out there getting some coverage where they could. And we all are pretty busy. Like this spring, just so you guys know, I'll remind you guys, you might not see me as much at all, like at these games, but I'll be working behind the scenes doing a couple other things. Schedule is crazy busy for me this spring specifically. And I know Ty's got coaching as well. There's going to be a lot of travel with my stuff and some family stuff going on. So we're trying our best to keep this going. And I'll be honest, like it's been awesome. I was going to shout you out anyways the other day in a chat, but I'll just do it here publicly. The pictures that you got this photo album are dope, dude. This is stuff that we need from the baseball scene. And what I love is like baseball is a lot of culture too. So like baseball brings a lot of culture to it. I love when I see those photos and I see this coverage, you're starting to get a mixture of not only the gameplay, but the culture behind it. That's kind of what I love about this sport in regards to like how it's different and unique from others. It's America's pastime. Like that's the reason for it is because of the culture. So shout out to you for capturing that with your photos and then just the coverage.
Appreciate that. And I will take a little bit of credit because I do understand that culture and I get it. I've also understood I'm not the most skilled photographer in the world. And I know what I'm good at, and I'm good at getting, more emotion rather than, maybe an action play. But, we all find our niche, and, I'm glad to see that it's appreciated and noticed. And, I'll keep, just like we're doing with the podcast, just like we're doing with our pages, all we can do is keep getting better. So that's 100%. My goal each and every day.
Dude, you're doing awesome. I wanted to ask you though, you mentioned Capitol having like the structure outside, like the music was playing. Like, that's the culture I'm talking about. Like, what have you seen so far? Is that the best culture you've seen, like an atmosphere that you've seen at the stadiums since you started covering the last couple of weeks, or is there another one you want to shout out?
As far as the atmosphere, I feel like Capitol probably kind of set the early tone of the season. Eagles Field is just really kind of is beautiful, honestly. I mean, you got the mountains in the background. Just it's nice out there. Rocky's got a really nice facility as well. They could probably get some tunes going though, liven it up a little bit more. But no, really nice facilities all the way around, and it's just fun out there. You got people grilling, got the hot dogs going, sunflower seeds. It's just a vibe. So, like you said, it's a culture thing, and hopefully we can continue to get more people there. It was fun, the amount of people that came up and said hello to me this weekend, and we actually, whether they were watching or not, we had many people say that they were tuned into our last baseball episode, and said they were excited that we were on the scene and, kind of trying to, create something that hasn't been done before.
Totally, man. So dope. Fun fact for me, I've been to more MLB games than I have NFL games, and that's not that many, but you'd be surprised because baseball's my lead. Like I'm
the same way.
Are you really?
Yep. Lived in Manhattan for 2 years when I was in middle school. And I mean, we hit up a Yankees game probably every other week. So
that's actually pretty sick. That should be a podcast episode in and of itself.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we hit up I've been to an Atlanta Braves game. And then I also hit up a Nationals game when we were in DC for the Boise State game back in, I think it was 2010. Yeah. Against Virginia Tech. So we hit up a Nationals game there too. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a baseball guy. Like I didn't play baseball or anything, but I actually enjoy it. Like it's just a chill sport that you get a hot dog and a soda for me. Yeah. Hot dog and a soda for me. Yep. Diet Coke on the rocks, So
I think one of my favorite baseball memories, my teacher in New York, Mr. Marcus, he big baseball guy, big New York Mets fan. He somehow got us a sanctioned school trip for a field trip to a Mets game because there was some weather meteorologist presentation in the 7th inning stretch or something, and he used that as a way to get us all to a Mets game. But I'll forever be grateful for Mr. Marcus. Best field trip I've ever been on.
Shout out Mr. Marcus, dude. We need more teachers like that. Yeah, that is dope.
Love it,
Mr. Marcus. I love it. Ty, any other things that we should be keeping an eye on this week as we get into the more structured part of the season before we wrap this one up?
No, I think just stay tuned. I think the best is yet to come for baseball season. We'll kind of get some more hands on deck doing, a few different things, and we'll continue to get better at what we're doing. And, as we get into, kind of end of season stuff, I know we're a little ways out on that, but we will be providing coverage on, a few other sports. We'll make it out to districts for, track and field, state for, as many sports as we can. People, more and more have been asking for softball, but, we got to have that interaction be, at a level that kind of justifies it for us to take the time to go do it. It's already, like you've mentioned, it's time consuming for us. So the interest levels have to be there, and it has to be vocal and, make it worth it for us to be out there. But we do hear you. We see you. We want to be covering all these things. And as we continue to get better at what we're doing, we will, but just give us some time. All right.
Absolutely. Reminder for everybody. Hey, if you got stats, if you got whatever, hit us up, make sure you're talking with us. If you have any ideas of like what we can do better, hit us up, DM us in our Instagrams, let us know, chat with us. We're there to chat with you guys. We're here to help you guys out and try to, enhance the media coverage around the Valley and around the state of Idaho. I also want to say this: if you have any like ideas of guests that could join us, like we had Izaac today, but if you have guests that you think would be a good fit, especially in the baseball world during baseball season, hey, hit us up and let us know. Let's connect with them, and we'll bring them onto the show for gym session so we can get a little bit of insight from them as well. We would love to hear from you guys. So either leave us a comment or DM us on Instagram. It's the best ways to communicate with us, and we'd love to take your feedback. So one last time, remember, if you are not already following Ty over at Boise Sports Talk, make sure to do so. He already covered, he's covered high school sports, obviously, but he's got Boise State, he's got C of I, he's got the Idaho Horsemen, he's got everything in the Valley. Make sure to go follow him at Boise Sports Talk. Make sure to follow AJ at EBC Media. If you're doing so, you'll see that just this week he was covering some club volleyball up north in Spokane. Get some coverage up there. So EBC Media, it's not just basketball. He's covering some volleyball and everything, having a good time doing that. At Cherry_Films_. So Cherry Films, you're going to see a lot of his coverage, his amazing videos. He's just doing an amazing job. And it's a relatively short amount of time that he's been doing this, and his following continues to just blow up because his skill set continues to grow. Shout out to Lane over there at Cherry Films. Follow him, and then follow me at Game Time Guru on Instagram. If you want to follow my podcast, feel free to do so. I interview
94 countries. It has been listened to in 94 countries. Game Time Guru. Give a subscription. Go follow.
Shout out to Bulgaria for jumping on the board, I
Let's
guess.
go, Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. We're Bulgaria
Yes.
fans. So shout out to them. So we appreciate you guys again. I'm Shane Larson from the Game Time Guru. This is Ty Spangenberg from Boise Sports Talk. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, and we're signing out. We'll talk to you guys next time.